Hey, welcome back to Bob's Two-Car Garage. Now, this week at our church, we did this really cool puppet.
Welcome to the deep blue ocean.
And we were given this drawing right here so that we could make that. Stick around. I'm going to show you kind of how it went together. Hi, my name is Bob, and I love my two-car garage. Now, of course, we're working with 4x8 sheets of plywood, and we wanted it bigger than 4x8. So what we had to do is, this is all a bunch of pieces. We used these strips right here, those orange strips, to kind of hide the seams. For the most part, the seams weren't a problem because we also had the artistic painting on the water, which covered up a lot of that stuff. Now, from behind here, you can see that we put this all together just like we would a regular flat for any other set. We used 1x4 materials for framing, and then we used 1/2-inch luan for our front pieces. Now, usually we use a 1/4-inch luan, but because we had to cut some shapes on this, we used a 1/2-inch luan. It really works nicely because we can cut those shapes and they'll keep their shape, and it's super light. Sometimes we've used, at times we've used MDF, but MDF is really heavy. This is still really lightweight. So 1x4 pine, and we used a good grade of pine. We didn't use the crummy stuff that you get like at some of the discount lumber places. We used some good stuff, and then 1/2-inch luan. We glued and stapled the luan to the 1x4 framing. Gluing and stapling is really important because those panels will come loose if you just staple them on there or nail them on there. Couple of details here. For around the windows, we wanted to have an edge. We were just gonna paint it, but we found this stuff that is a low voltage conduit, and we just cut it with some tin snips, and it fits right on here, like this. Painting it was a bit of a challenge because it has so many nooks and crannies. I actually just finally slopped paint on there with a paintbrush and worked it in all the little grooves and such, and it worked out pretty well. It's amazing all the cool little options you can come up with if you just start digging through dumpsters and stuff. Little rivets right here are just dowels that we chopped off, glued them on there, shot it with a pin nail, and then came back later and painted them. These little strips right here are just 1/4-inch plywood that we stapled onto the front to make it look like that it had some seams. I'm kind of proud of the fact that we got our hatch to open and close. So again, 1/2-inch plywood with some 3/4-inch 1x4 pine backing, and then we just hinged it on a screw. Now our steering wheel here was kind of a last-minute deal. We actually ordered a steering wheel that looked pretty cool, but it didn't come in time. So we ran down to Michael's and found this foam ring and some foam dowels and just glued it together to make our steering wheel. It was part of the script, so we needed to have a steering wheel in it. We had to mount it on this board right here. Sometimes duct tape really is the best solution for holding stuff down, and that's what we did right here. Looks perfect from the front. The light in front is actually a track light. It's a commercial track light that we just found laying around, so I had to cut off the end of the connector and put a regular plug on the back side, but that was free. The periscope up there is very cool. You can probably tell that we just made that out of PVC and then painted it yellow. The little lens that is on the end, I went down to Party City and found this little ball, or a half a ball that kind of screwed together, cost 99 cents. I epoxied it on the end so it looks like a lens, but I wanted it to glow a little bit. So I went down to the Home Depot and I bought one of these lights with a cord on it. And actually this had one of those aluminum gizmos on the end, one of those little bell-shaped things that reflects the light. It's a work light and it has a little clip on it. And I took that part off, so I just got the cord and the light, and this goes down inside the periscope like this. And that is how we got a little periscope that glows. Now the puppeteers need to be hidden from the kids, obviously, because it does something weird to kids if they see a puppet on a real person for some reason. Anyhow, we needed some duvetine to hang, so we put these brackets right here like this. These little brackets, again, just got them off the shelf at Home Depot, and then we hung duvetine over a few of those so that kids can't tell that there's really a person back there and it's not really a real puppet thing, person. This is also a good place to see how we put this thing together in the back. You can see there's a piece here and a piece up there to make one big wave, and then we jacked it up with some 2x4 jacks in the back. Now my proudest moment on this whole thing is this covering for the propeller or fairing back here. This is a piece of 1/2-inch plywood right here that we just cut in a circle, and then we wrapped around it some 1/4-inch plywood just to give the whole thing a little bit of a third dimension. Everything else is just 2 dimensions, it's just a flat, but we wanted to have a few pieces that were 3-dimensional, so this is one of them. Really cool thing is that in the back side, we were able to mount a bubble machine that pretty much fits exactly where a propeller would fit. And when I press this little remote control button right here, bubbles come out, which was a great effect during the show. And now, my friends, is how me and a bunch of friends made the yellow submarine. Watch this. Bubbles.